Yesterday, Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts in his New York trial, in a historic first for a former U.S. president. It's the biggest presidential legal news since Taft sued the company that made that bath. And if you thought Trump was in danger of tempering some of his harsher immigration policies, he was convicted by a Colombian guy named Juan. Trump will be sentenced July 11th, just 4 days before the Republican National Convention, which if you gave me a choice between the two, I'd pick jail every time. Then again, this year at the RNC, we might get to see Kristi Noem drown a baby rabbit. Don't get that kind of entertainment in jail. So for those who are paying attention, this is how politics works in America now. If you're a threat, this is how the regime treats you. And for a look at how they treat people who are not threats, look no further than this week's Libertarian National Convention. Yes, that was also this week. Today, the floors of the DC Hilton are littered with tri-cornered hats and discarded vape pens. But earlier this week, it was hopping. Like the Republicans in the presidential debates, these people think they're on the bleeding edge of politics. But unlike the Republicans, this isn't a race to see who can get the biggest campaign contributions or who can get the nicest office at Raytheon. For the Libertarians, it's a race to see who can be the most ideologically pure.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
The license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
That clip was from a few years ago, but that's still the temperature of the room. When Trump spoke at the Libertarian Convention, he had a suggestion for them.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win.
And yes, they just booed winning. Because for libertarians, losing is the only way to stay pure. Trump's approach was alien to them. He offered to do things they wanted if they voted for him.
And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht. That is why I'm committing to you tonight that I will put a libertarian in my cabinet.
As Jeffrey Tucker said, it was a weirdly honest way to campaign. It's a way of talking that's natural to someone who's used to getting things done, but it turns out that's not what these guys do. In the end, they kicked him out of their sandbox and selected as their nominee this man.
Chase Oliver is a former Georgia Senate candidate who describes himself as armed and gay.
Gotta be honest, if I had to pick 2 words to describe the Libertarian Party, I couldn't have done better than that. He's also pro-trans treatment for kids, pro-drag queen story hours, he was very afraid of COVID, and he's also pro-open borders. So why don't the Libertarians want to win if it means voting for Trump? Well, for one, they think that Trump shouldn't deport illegals because that would mean spending money. Take this article from Reason.com. Trump's tough immigration talk comes with a high price tag. Are Americans prepared to spend $1 trillion to deport undocumented immigrants? I'd pay $1 trillion just to get to pull on Nick Gillespie's hair. I will start a crowdfunding campaign right now. Now, I don't want to reduce immigration to just economic factors. I'm not a libertarian. But the economic impact is real.
We have new numbers, a new report from the U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security majority. They say the price tag per year is $451 billion.
And that's just illegal immigration. So if it takes $1 trillion to deport the illegals, we'd be saving money in year 3. Sure, we'd lose stuff, but on the other hand, you might get an Uber Eats driver who speaks English. There are lots of people who call themselves libertarians who are better on immigration and other issues. I still love Ron Paul and Murray Rothbard. But here's what happens every time someone in their party says something sane.
Children do need some protection. Yes, you should not be able to sell heroin to a 5-year-old.
They are more used to displays like this.
Man stripping down in the middle of the National Libertarian Party convention last Sunday in Orlando.
Don't worry, the striptease had an important ideological message.
The political system is so corrupt that it needs to be stripped down to nothing.
That's why you took your clothes off?
That's why I took my clothes off.
If he's trying to make me more libertarian, it's having the opposite effect. Maybe firing squads aren't such a bad idea. The truth is that ideology makes you stupid. Russell Kirk said it's like a drug, and there's nothing more these libertarians love than drugs. Except perhaps sodomy.
Voting and gender are non-binary.
Libertarians think the government does too much, regulates too much, so we need to cut back on that, and we'd return to a good society. But the fact is that many people get a free pass under the current regime. What we're living under is what Sam Francis called anarcho-tyranny. Don't worry, I have a video on that. But from one angle, it looks pretty libertarian. Lax drug laws, bail reform, bail funds for violent protesters, lax sentencing. If you're an asset to the regime, your life is a libertarian's dream. Basically, libertarians want to live like Hunter Biden. But the only people who get to live like that are people the regime favors. favors. I also wonder if libertarians ever notice that all their wins are also wins for the left, while all their losses are losses for the right. But that would require some amount of reflection and self-awareness. Trump gets the book thrown at him because someone filled out a spreadsheet wrong. At the same time, migrants and police are openly brawling in the streets of New York. Daniel Penny faces charges for trying to protect people against an insane person on a New York subway, while criminals keep getting released. But the real threat is this guy falsifying business records. Again, that's our system, anarcho-tyranny. You can't applaud the anarchy and act baffled at the tyranny. I'm getting hung up on the policy stuff, but it wouldn't matter if Chase Oliver's politics were perfect. In other words, if he agreed with me on every issue. No matter what his policy positions are, he doesn't matter. He's just a guy talking on the internet. He has as much real political power as I do. Just like power isn't a trophy for winning a debate club, it's not a trophy you get for landing on the very bottom of the political compass test. When you're actually in politics, they give you judges that will break the so-called rules to get a conviction. And the media will talk about the judge like this.
As you've noted with respect to Judge Marchand, I mean, I am like now, I have like a man crush on him. He is such a great judge.
On the other hand, no one is going to arrest Chase Oliver to try to keep him out of the White House. So yes, we're in a spot where the leading presidential candidate has been convicted on some bogus charges, while some people get to pretend that's just the process working itself out. Things are getting crazy, and my guess is that we haven't even seen the worst of it.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?